Moi! In this second part of the video, titled Ancient Suomi, I will present you some personal descriptions and observation regarding some mysterious places and so-called geological formation, which origins and purpose are very obscure. I will try not to give my own opinion about the various topics, but I will concentrate only into logically discuss some alternative theories and the mainstream accepted explanation about their existence. Before starting our investigation, I would like to make you familiar with whom I would consider to be my favorite researcher and writer here in Finland. On the screen you can see his name and website. But I would like also to mention this site, which to me it really stands out. It's an amazing collection of images and knowledge. I strongly recommend the viewer to have a look at his works. So let's start analyzing. As I did at the beginning of part 1, I will not start in Finland, but with what lies right in the other side of the border, in a very mysterious place located in Carillion. As we can appreciate on the screen, the pristine beauty of those lands is really breathtaking, as most of the territories along the Finnish Russian border line. But this is what we have behind our back. What is this place? Let me proudly present you Vottovara. Here you can appreciate the spectacular wilderness of the Carillion lands. And here you can observe Vottovara. What happened to this place? Which kind of natural force or event have struck this land? The trees are totally deformed. Their structural composition has been altered by something. But what? Can a simple forest fire reduce this place to this otherworldly condition? I mean, really, look at those trees. But obviously, its peculiar apocalyptic landscape is not part of the reason why I consider this particular place to be worth of an investigation. Let's start observing the strange structures that are scattered around literally everywhere you look. In this image, courtesy of megaliths.org, we can observe, to me, a clear design behind the creation of this, let's call it, wall, which by the way is just one of dozens of strange-looking walls throughout the area. But obviously, some people would simply connect their existence to the Ice Age theory, blaming massive movement of ice being the cause behind those easy-to-explain geological formation. So, let's continue. Very strange, I really don't know how to describe them, pools are carved into the bedrock, or the Ice Age just cracked the stones in that way. And there are way too many right angles, smooth surfaces, and to me, clear sign of being manufactured somehow, to at least consider them worth to have a future investigation. But let's start with the real questions. I have chosen to begin showing you these strange quarry-looking stones, or stones which obviously to me have some sort of intervention being applied to them. But which one? What are they? If the missing part of them has, as I suppose, been removed, it would imply a gigantic mining operation work. The displaced stones would have been enormous. And as we can see on the screen, even to these days, the road to reach the area is very far to be facilitating the transportation of those few stone blocks. Can you please post your opinion about them in the comments section? What do you think was their purpose? But why I personally consider Vottovara to be a real ancient amusement stone park is due to these guys. Let me proudly present you the, I really don't know how to call them, of Vottovara's mountain. Those standing on other smaller stones are just everywhere. What in this world are they? Who built them? How? Why? When? For what purpose? They are enormous. Even if on these images they could give the impression of being some stone toys, their size is astounding. Vottovara is awesome. But there's only one problem with the Carillion stone artworks, that compared to Finland, those are really kids' stone toys. Just look at what we have in our forest. In Finland, their number is so huge that we don't even give much of attention to them. On this image, we can even appreciate 3 of them in few meters. Look at the dimension of these monsters. Look at the size of a person under it. No comments. Really, what are those things? I've been reading many articles about the various theories of what those standing on other smaller stones could have been, and what could have been their purpose, starting from some kind of energy collectors to our magical Ice Age architecture at work. But even if the explanation about their meaning are numbered in dozens, with some very absurd by the way, the theories of who actually built them are strangely pointing to one direction. Giants. A civilization way much larger than us beings built them in ancient times. Also in the Carillion area of Vottovara, the local tribes attribute them to a race of giants. About this particular giants topic, I will soon dedicate an entire video, because the proof of an ancient civilization of giants eradicated from our history books are overwhelming and present in every areas of the planet. Just to give you an example, on the screen you can see a picture of a book titled Kalevala. The Kalevala is a 19th century work of so-called epic poetry compiled by Elias Lönnrot from Carillion and Finnish oral folklore and mythology. For those who are not familiar with the book, I can strongly recommend to read it. It is pretty easy to find also the English version of it. But I will talk much more in the future about the so-called legend contained in it. Well, a Finnish subscriber who is gathering info about the giants have found a mention in Finnish mythology that Vainamoinen, Ilmarinen and other heroes from the Kalevala epoch were part of a group called Kalevalan Pojat. The myth says that Kalevalan Pojat were giants from the land of Canaan that fled the sword of Joshua. Thank you, sir, for sharing such interesting knowledge. But let's go back to our giant stone toys. On the screen you can contemplate some images dating approximately between 1890 and 1911, shot by various famous geologists of those times. And strangely enough, there are no picture of any of those structures. I couldn't find no one image showing them prior to the end of 1940s. But as we can see on these 1877 documents, our giant toys were very well known to Finnish researchers of the 19th century. If somebody can find earlier than the 40s picture of them, can kindly post a link in the comment section. It would be really appreciated. In the next few seconds, I will show you some of the hundreds, if not thousands of those structures that are located in basically every corner of the country's forest. Please enjoy. By the way, those structures are found all over the planet, even if I have a hard time to believe that there are areas where their number is larger than in Finland. The one on the screen is located in the Kola Peninsula of Russia. But I would like just for a moment to show you this really strange mushroom-looking formation located in the Altai region of Russia. What are they? Can it be that they are actually living stone life form? I know that for some of the viewers this idea can sound absurd, but in recent years more and more researchers are pointing out the fact that some of the world's so-called stones were at some point living creatures, or at least parts of living creatures, and their theory is supported by DNA testing conducted on the stones. But we will talk about it in the future. In any case, I personally think that any theory about their origins make more sense than primitive Stone Age people playing with stones build them, or the Ice Age just putting those rocks on top of others perfectly balanced. But for those who at this point are bored to see very common and easy to explain stone structure, I will present these guys. This one in particular that I have presented you in the first part of this video is called Kumma Kivi. Look at the size of that monstrous stone. How did they put it on top of the other? By hand? Ah, but of course, it was the Ice Age. Giant! What a joke! But if Kumma Kivi is not impressive enough for you, look at this one located in Sweden. Ice Age. Or these other ones located in Denmark. How can somebody believe that ice can do this? No comment. So let's go back to Finland. Look at this one. And look at the surface that is balancing it. Can be few inches. But for those who really believe that the explanation for their origins is the Ice Age, I have an interesting question. How can they be still standing after millions or hundreds of thousands of years? No earthquake has affected them. Sea level rising and receding, nothing. Still perfectly balanced. Wow! This Ice Age have really good skills. Instead, I will read you a comment that a beautiful subscriber have posted under the first part of this documentary. Madame Aloya wrote, "The large stones balanced on a small stone are called Logan rocks. They were used for divining. They would ask a question and set the stone rocking. One side would be yes and the other one no, and thus they could get answer. We have several here in Cornwall, and they were said to be places of healing. We have one down the road at Cripple Ease, where people came to get healed until the church said it was witchcraft." Thank you, madame, for sharing such an amazing knowledge. But let's go back to Vottovara. I've been reading many comments and descriptions about that particular area, mostly from people who are describing the odd feelings that they have while visiting it. Some people accounts tell us that they feel very uncomfortable over there, some even writing that it is the creepiest place they ever been, and some, on the contrary, experiencing very strong, beautiful energies. Basically, Vottovara is an unexplainable ancient amusement stone park. But let's continue our investigation. Do you remember in the first part of this video when I show you this strange cut stone located in the Morrepos Park area? Well, these are the Vottovara one. They are just everywhere. What are they? Who cut them? How? Why? When? Yes, I know, the Ice Age cracked them so perfectly. But I'm sorry again for the Carillion Vottovara mountain, because those are small scratches on a stone compared to what we can find in the Finland's wilderness. Just look at these massive cut boulders. No comment. And this one is located in the north of Norway. Question: where is it coming from, the stone, in the first place? The answer would be from the sky. The melting glacier at the end of the Ice Age dumped it there. Nothing new. By the way, the cut stone on the screen is located in Saudi Arabia. Ice Age got it. Yep. Well, let's investigate this glacial theory. Let's move back to the Finnish woods. Just look at these boulders. So the question was, where do they come from? The Ice Age enthusiasts would say that those massive stones were brought in their places by melting glacier. Somehow the ice was picking up those boulders and carrying them on its top, or in its interior, until it was cracking or melting and dropping them along the way on the bedrock below. On the screen you have some example of stones that have fallen from the sky, from the ice. Question: if the altitude from where they fell down was high enough to crack them in such way, just look at the size of the one on the screen, why they didn't affect the bedrock? I mean, why they are not stuck in the ground? Why they didn't create any small impact crater-looking circle around them? The sign of the impact with the ground would be very visible, but nope. They are just comfortably sitting on the other stones or on the bedrock. By the way, they are there since the end of the Ice Age, and the ground level didn't rise at all. It's the same for hundreds of thousands of years. Really? Because in these images from Russia, we can acknowledge that in the city throughout the country, and by the way many other cities around the world, in a couple of hundred years, the ground level have risen many meters. On the screen, you can appreciate some pictures of the fortified wall located in the city of Tallinn, Estonia. And as you can see, the arches that once were used to enter the city are in our days almost at the ground level, and they have been closed down. In fact, now, to move from the interior of the wall to the exterior, they had to break down an entire section of the structure. So, in the cities the ground level have risen many meters in few hundred years, but in the forest is exactly the same after hundreds of thousands of years. Interesting. I can't wait to get to this topic in one of the future parts of this video. But if just for a few seconds we put on the side the Ice Age theory, we have the local tribe's own explanation for those cracked stones. Giants cut them. Giants moved them. But of course, those are just legends from primitive wild people. Giants, what a joke. By the way, on the screen, you can observe a very staggering information. Just look at this stone bridge, or whatever it is. No comment. But before moving to the next and most important topic of this video, I would like to present to the viewer a book written by Sir Jukka Nieminen and his site Sinikivi. It's titled Megalithic Kivian Arboitus. I strongly recommend it. It's a magnificent compilation of knowledge about megalithic structures located in the Finland forests. So let's go back to Vottovara. One of the highlights of the area are these strangely way too perfect stone spheres. I know everybody knows about them, and everybody knows that they are found all over the planet. The ones on the screen are located in the Arctic region, precisely on the island of Champ. On the screen you can appreciate a Google map image of the location of the island. I have chosen to present you these particular ones due to the spectacular quality of those pictures, because the stone spheres are not included in the topics of this particular production, but they kick in the video for a very special reason. Before starting what I personally believe is one of the biggest mysteries of the Finnish woods, I would like to show you these small spheres made of stones that were found in Finland's fields. If someone has more info about the discovery of those round rocks, can you please post it in the comments section? Because I have a strong feeling that those stone spheres are everywhere in Finland, and most of the people probably attribute them to the Ice Age idea, without realizing the unnatural precision of their shape. some around 95% perfectly spherical. So let me proudly present you the hidden Kiernut, or so-called giant kettles, or potholes. Yes, I know, also these guys are found all over the world. But in Finland, first of all, they are numbering hundreds, if not thousands. And second of all, for what I have knowledge of, are the largest ever discovered throughout the planet. About this particular topic, I will really ask the viewer to please share your opinion and theories, helping me out to find a logical explanation about their origins. I'm extremely interested in them for the simple reason that the areas where they are located are largely my favorite ones. There's really something magical in the forest that surround them. So let's start with the official reason behind their formation. Guess the Ice Age. As we can appreciate on this illustration, what the expert geologists are telling us, while ending the Ice Age between the massive blocks of ice and the bedrock, under-ice rivers of fresh water were forming, eroding the ground and slowly forming holes. How and why doesn't seem to be that important in their theory, and subsequently, stones were falling inside those holes, spinning and rolling as crazy, forming larger and larger holes. The illustration on the screen put clearly an end to this mystery. So, mystery solved. Rolling stones create them. Oh, sorry, not those rolling stones, but this one. On the screen, you can appreciate that many of them have still its stone balls inside. Isn't it cute? What a joke is this one? Do you really believe that those stone spears create these monsters? I don't. Oh, sorry, I said at the beginning of the video, I will try not to give my personal opinion. So, let's start our investigation. First of all, when discovered, they were totally filled up with stones of every kind and shape. And after removing all of them, the prettiest stone spears were thrown back inside the Kiernut. There are many accounts of the people that were working in the cleanup declaring that. An example is Sir Pertti Pasanen, who has even made a movie that was clearly reporting this demential system to give credit to this convenient theory. Movie that disappeared before even reaching the public. Do you want proof? Just look at this millions of years old pothole with its beautiful stone sphere still in it. Isn't it pretty? And voila, this is the same Kiernut, but in a many decades earlier picture. Where is the Rolling Stone? Here you can see the today appearance for tourists of the giant kettle with this magical stone. And here, same pothole, but no sphere. What a circus is this one? Plus, do you really believe that that stone created all of this mess? How was it rolling? Up, down, left, right, horizontally, vertically? What an absolute hoax! Ah, but wait, in the illustration and in the books written by the so-called expert geologists, they fail to mention this particular Kiernut. How does a stone spear roll vertically? I don't have any idea, but as we already have learned, the Ice Age have very good skills. It is very evident on these images that they are also found on the side of cliffs. And in this other picture, we can clearly see that the bedrock is totally missing one side and the bottom. To me, it looked like a drilling sign, but nope, rolling stones. More proof, this one is ovalized. This one is like an 8. But look at this one. What a joke. That stone create all of those holes. Yes, and my sister is a wheelbarrow. Sorry, Fra. Next one. I can't continue. The situation is becoming way too pathetic. Do you believe that the stone on the right side of the image did all of that to the bedrock? It's totally missing one side. How was it rolling? On itself? Another one. Two Kiernut beside each other, and with the bedrock behind them also rounded. Ah, but they were rolling up and down. This picture, I'm not even gonna comment it. Rolling stones. Ah, but no, sorry. This one clearly proves that the Ice Age magic Rolling Stone did it. I will really ask the viewer to please comment about the official explanation given to us about their origins. Do you really believe it? Now let's leave behind the Ice Age and try to examine them with logic and look for other possible reasons for their existence. To start, the biggest ones that I have knowledge of are located in the town of Ascola. By the way, I have visited that place personally dozens of times, and few kilometers away from the city of Rovaniemi, capital of the northern province of Finland called Lapland. Do you remember this wall that I showed you in the first part of this video? Well, the Askolan Heidenkirnut, or giant kettle, are located on one of the side of it, and this wall is turning around, forming some kind of a huge structure. Same happened with the Rovaniemi's one. The potholes are located on the side or on the top of a gigantic structure-looking wall. And the same with this one. I couldn't find the location, I'm sorry about it. The image is taken by our geologist and movie director, Sir Frosterus, in 1907. By the way, it is at least creepy that Sir Frosterus uses always kids to pose for his pictures. We will see more examples later on. Also in this case, the Kirnut are clearly formed on the side of a cliff, part of an enormous wall-looking structure. Why am I pointing out all of this? Because on this other picture, we can appreciate one of our giant kettle on the side of a cliff, but located in the south of France, obviously an area very well known not to have been affected by the theoretical Ice Age event. I have a very interesting question for the viewers. Can it be that it's not the stone spheres that create the Kirnut, but the Kirnut that have created the stone spheres? Geologists would answer, of course not. How can a cliff create a stone sphere? This guy's totally flipping out. Right? Wrong. These images come from Russia. Do I need to comment them, or what I'm seeing on the screen is crystal clear to all of the viewers? That hill is growing stone spheres, which when ready, or when they got to the moment of their total formation, they separate from the cliff, rolling on the valley below. We can also see that in the south of France, we find the same situation. The hill is creating the stone spheres, and subsequently the huge round hole. I imagine that everybody have heard about this so-called natural event, right? On these images, we can actually see them forming or growing, creating larger and larger holes. This particular picture is extremely interesting because it's showing us the round edges of the, let's call it, pothole, but we will analyze them later on. Are you seeing the same phenomenon than me? It is really staggering. I'm not saying that the Finnish Kirnut were created in this way, but it lights the idea that we should go look for answer a bit deeper than just looking to a rolling stone. If we observe the interior of the stone spheres, we can discover that they are constituted of many layers of different colors and formations. But look at this one. What is it? It reminds me of the composition of a famous ancient structure located in the Lapland province of Finland. It's called Nattaset. To me, the similarity is very obvious. And also in this one, located in Japan, have the same strange composition. Interesting to say the least. But I know, many people would say, what is this crazy guy talking about? Stones are not grown, or they don't grow. They are stones. Really? On the screen at this moment, you can observe the Trovans growing stones of Romania, located near the village of Costesti. These so-called stones are, without any doubt, growing, reproducing themselves, or let's say they make babies, and they move around. They multiply and grow under the exposure to water. They really love rain. And the more it rains, more they grow or reproduce themselves. But I imagine that everybody knows about them, so I won't lose more time in describing their wonderful aspects. But I know what geologists would say. Just because in few places of the world we have these growing stones of phenomenon at work, it doesn't mean that the pothole came about that way. Ice Age rolling stone made them. Fine. There is only another problem with this theory. On the screen we can appreciate that the giant Kettles are also found in areas of the planet that they are very well known not to have been affected by any ice age. These in particular are located in Brazil. Just look at this place. What a mess! The stones look like if melted at some point. But we will examine this phenomenon in a moment. These one are founded in Italy, and this other one in Kazakhstan. Ice Age. Rolling stones. Really? Well, let's move to an area at least known to have been affected by the Ice Age theoretical events. The Urals mountain area of Russia. By the way, it's where the ancient origin of the Finnish language have its cradle. In this particular area, we have another problem with the Rolling Stones Ice Age idea. Do you remember these massive stone walls that I presented you in the first part of this documentary? Well, in this case, we can observe that the Kirnut are located at the top of the structure. So, where did the rolling stone came from? The answer would be from the sky, because if it would have come from the top of ice blocks, way much taller than the wall, obviously, why with their gigantic dimension and enormous force, they didn't throw down the wall? It's just perfectly fine and still standing. By the way, after hundreds of thousands of years. What about earthquakes? But anyway, so what? The monstrous size ice block were stopping in front of the wall and throwing down a stone? So how did the hole start in the first place? Because on the illustration given to us by geologists, the scenario doesn't fit at all on top of those walls. I'm never gonna believe it. So the answer would be from the sky. I know, stones coming down from the sky and making holes on the rocks. What a joke. Stones don't rain from the sky. Right? Wrong. On the screen we can appreciate the ruins of the ancient city of Sodom and Gomorrah, located in the area of the Dead Sea. I don't think that it's needed for me to explain what old texts tell us about their destruction. Brimstone or sulfur stones have showered the entire structures that compose the cities while burning and basically incinerating the entire area. There are no other places on Earth where this phenomenon is found. The original explanation given to us by geologists for this odd event is so ridiculous, without not even mentioning there is a lie. They are telling us that due to the presence of sulfur in underground betony layers found actually not even on the spot, but many kilometers away, and due to some earthquake event, the sulfur came out from the ground, throw it into the sky, and subsequently landing, while burning, only on top of the two cities, destroying them. What a theory is this one? Because there is only one problem with this lie. Sulfur in betony layers doesn't get to 96% purity, as the stones that have incinerated Sodom and Gomorrah. That sulfur is so pure that you can easily light it still to these days. So I have a small question for the viewers. Who and how was throwing down from the sky sulfur stone burning and destroying entire cities? The Ice Age? I'm not saying that this event have anything to do with our giant Kettles, but it lights the theory that indeed something that can wound the bedrock can rain from the sky. But there is another fact that is worth to mention and analyze. Let's have a look at the rocks around the Kirnut. Is it only me, or they really look melted? Which kind of energy could have liquefied them in such matters? Ice, I guess. Look at this image. The stone is perfectly fine, but where the pothole lies, it's completely melted and deformed. In this other picture, we can see that the edge of it looks like some kind of plasticine. But let's check the interior of them. To me, they clearly look exposed to heat, not to ice. These are the sides of the interior. Do you really think that this is the result of exposure to freezing temperature, or more like extreme heat? Look at the bottom. Which kind of force did this to the bedrock? Rolling stones. But how can somebody theorize it? It looked more like some kind of vortex or spiral energy that caused the stone to melt and harden itself again. I really don't know what to think. Please let me know your opinion on this topic. It's more important than any other. I really want to understand what the giant kettle are. But let's analyze the edges. Do you think that this is the erosion of millions or hundreds of thousands of years? They are there supposedly since the Ice Age, and the edges are still so sharp. Millions of years of exposure to every kind of elements, and nothing. Totally fine. Look at this one located in the city of Tampere. Ice. No comment. This one is a very enigmatic picture. Again, we can see this creepy use of child for who knows what purpose. Just look at the expression of the kid. He looked terrified by the photographer. Again, we can see the strange kind of melted boulder. But what calls my attention the most is that decorated piece of wall on the right side of the image. It clearly shows a swastika. Where is it coming from? Actually, we will talk about that particular symbol in one of the next parts of this video, because I have many questions ready for the viewers. Let's continue. Here we have another one. Why should you put a kid inside one of the potholes? Look at her expression. She's terrorized by the geology. Well, I think that I have bored you enough with the hidden Kirnut enigma. And the only purpose why I have spent so much time in describing them is due to the fact that I personally think I can learn much more from your theories than from any surrealistic geologist, ice age, rolling stone, magical power idea. Now, I would like to show you for a few seconds this other so-called natural Finnish wonder, located in the proximity of the capital of the country, Helsinki. What is this guy? It makes me think of the so-called Siberian sinkholes that you are seeing on the screen. The similarities are very obvious. And I would like to mention these strange-looking round lakes. Interestingly, strangely precise, no? They are also everywhere. I've been researching them in my latest expedition in the remote areas of the east of Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia. By the way, what a breathtaking lands are those. I strongly recommend the viewers to visit the Baltic countries. Are just amazing. But we will talk in great details about those round lakes in the future. So, next topic and next question for the viewers. Let me proudly present you the kuppikivi, or easy stones. In English are called capstones. What are they? What in the world can be behind the creation of those, let's call them, holes? On the screen you have a map of their location throughout the country. They are everywhere in the south of Finland. But they are also found in enormous quantity, for example, in Estonia. First of all, let's talk about their names. Hiisi stones. Hiisi, plural hiidet, is or are a type of mythological entities. They are depicted as demonic or trickster-like entities, similar to mythological giants. The English translation would be goblins. They are found near large boulders, giant kettles, woods or hills. In Estonian, hiisi still carries the primary meaning of sacred grove. Hiisi was also one of the 12 sons of Kaleva, the great king of Kainu in the Kalevala. Those sons were later transformed into 12 constellations in the sky. Prehistoric stone structures and large stone boulders were thought to have been erected by Hiidet, or giants. Giants, what a joke. A giant kettle is called Hiidenkirnut, literally hiisi churn, and the hiisi stones, or capstones, were thought to have been created by Hiidet, tapping their foot on the various boulders. Very interesting. The Kalevala books is just amazing. But as I said, we will talk about it in another part of this video. Let's continue. On the screen, you can observe that I'm not the only one interested in them. The local TV and journalists are taking pictures and measurement of them, pointing out that nobody really knows what they are. Which kind of natural force can do this to those rocks? Rolling stones, I guess. As we can appreciate, it is hard to find some patterns or some connection between the various stones affected by this phenomenon. They barely have something in common. Very interesting is the fact that the various boulders around them are totally fine. Only selected stones have those marks. So different patterns, different kind of rocks, differences in deepness, differences in the distance between the holes, different looking. In this image, for example, they look more like small potholes. Very, very baffling formation. I really don't know what to think. Again, I will need to ask the viewer for help in understanding their origin and purposes. I'm really sorry to disturb you, but in this video I need your assistance more than in any other. What are those things? While researching them, I stumble upon this stone. What are those lines on the rocks? Natural formation. Don't worry, on this one there's no mystery. Very easy to explain natural geological formation. So what about that strange line carved on this stone? No mystery, dude. Ice Age made those lines. Right? Wrong. These are very far to be natural, folks. Those are machine tool marks. And do you remember this stone block that I presented you in the first part of this video? Those are machine tool marks. Some kind of decoration techniques. And this is another boulder affected by hiisi. Look at the right side of the image. Does it remind you something? Maybe these guys that I have shown you earlier in Vottovara. They really look the same. And this is the same boulder from another angle. Who built those stairs? They really look old. But the staircase in the middle of nowhere in Finland are normal. Look at those blocks forming the various steps. If to you they look small, check out the comparison with our Finnish area researcher California. That's a big girl. Why you should create stairs in the middle of nowhere in the forest using such massive blocks? Hey Kasu, can you help me move a couple of stones? Let's make a staircase in the middle of nowhere in the hardest way we can. No comment. Okay, let's go back to Vottovara for the last time. How beautiful is this Carillion lake? But if we move along the cliff, we can find these caves. Totally normal. Some fisherman adapt those cavities as a storage room for his tools. Nothing weird. Do you remember this image showing you the road to get to Vottovara? I don't think that is so easy to reach that lake, but someone clearly built that entrance. Who? When? For what purpose? But the caves are not included in the various topics of this video, and in Vottovara we have another interesting artwork. Mazes, or labyrinths. Totally normal. It is obvious to find stone labyrinths in the middle of the forest. nothing new. Really? Before starting to analyze them, let me show you a few images of the only over 100 stone mazes that are located a bit everywhere along the coast of Finland. Please enjoy. I personally think that those images were beautiful. What I find extremely baffling about those stone labyrinths is that they are located literally all over the planet. Africa, United States and Canada. By the way, look at this enormous artwork at the bottom of a lake in British Columbia. What in the world is that guy? No comment. I can continue forever showing you those mazes. Please just search in internet and you will remain shocked about the quantity of very similar, if not identical, of course the sizes are different, labyrinth throughout the planet. For example, this one is located in North Cornwall. Do you remember the amazing comment that I have read you earlier about the stones balanced on another smaller one that a subscriber posted under one of my videos? She was pointing out that those, let's call them structures, were found in large number in Cornwall, like in Finland. Well, in that particular area, there are also many of these stone mazes as in Finland. Is there a connection between the two structures? Is there a connection between the two areas of the world? Another thing that I would like to point out is the quantity of misinformative articles that I have found throughout the web about those stone labyrinths. On the screen, you can appreciate some illustration of mazes with their location written under it. Excuse me, where is the Weir Island in Finland? I have found at least 6 websites mentioning that particular maze. It's called copy-pasting wrong info. And even worse is the reason behind their existence that I have also found in at least 5 articles. I have chosen not to show them because I imagine that the purpose of those people was not to confuse others, but their way of copy-pasting can really create confusion. In those articles was written that bored fishermen, waiting for storms and strong winds to end their fury, were creating those labyrinths. I don't think that it is needed for me to continue. The idea that pissed fishermen were making the exact same stone drawing all over the country, and by the way all over the world, waiting for wind to set, is dementia. It's not. I'm sorry, I hope not to offend anyone. But if somebody believed that, he's not my friend. Just joking. I love everybody. By the way, look at the image on the screen. This maze is located in Estonia. You can clearly see that a much larger and older structure is visible. Why they have destroyed building a road on it? What a shame. Why they didn't build the road few meters away? No comments. Well, instead of creating my own narrative on this topic, I will read you an article that I have found about a particular island in the White Sea, called Bolshoi Zayatsky. While reading, I will show you on the screen the various stone labyrinths located in that area. The Solovetsky Islands are an archipelago in the Onega Bay of the White Sea, around 250 kilometers from the Finnish border. Bolshoi Zayatsky Island is part of the archipelago, which has 35 Neolithic labyrinths known as Babylons. Babylons? Very interesting. In Finnish are called Jatulitarha, which mean giant's fence, and in the Morepos Park area, Jatinkatu, Street of the Giants, or Giants Street. But they are also called Trelleborg, which mean giant castle, if I'm not mistaken in Danish. By the way, in Denmark are the largest one in number, but they are also very common in Iceland. By the way, the Sami tribes attribute them to a race of giants that lived in the Arctic region before them. Giants, what a joke! They also say that when the church came, declared them evil, and that walking in the center was bringing bad luck. Let's continue with the article. In the 1920s, an hypothesis of Vinogradov, the cult of the design of labyrinths, had appeared. According to it, labyrinths are Saivo, sacred mountains, where the souls of the deceased roam while enjoying their being. The Encyclopedia Britannica lists Saivo as one of the Sami regions of the dead, where the deceased, called Saivolmak, lead happy lives in the Saivo world with their families and ancestors. The Saivo localities were regarded as sacred and as source of power that could be used by shamans. When the shaman wishes to go into a trance, he would call to his aid his guardian spirit from the Saivo. The exact purpose of this ancient stone construction is unknown. The main assumption is that they perhaps symbolized a border between the world we live in and the world of spirits. Well, I think that at this point I can let you in peace and stop with my wild theories. I just really ask you to post your opinion about my various questions, because this is what it's all about, this project, making questions. In the next video I will present you an amazing megalithic saga that really fills up my heart with beautiful vibration. Thanks for watching and listening. I wish to all of you good luck in any project you will choose to create. Love and respect to all of you.